2017 biopic All Eyez on Me was widely criticized for its paint-by-numbers approach to a subject who was anything but conventional. Rather than delving into the complex psychology of Tupac Shakur, the film's narrative often felt like a checklist of biographical events ripped from a Wikipedia page. Key moments, such as his time with the Black Panthers, his poetic ambitions, and his shift in artistic identity, are presented in a flat, chronological manner without the emotional depth or context required to understand them. This left audiences, particularly those familiar with Shakur's work and life, with a shallow and often uninspired account that failed to capture his volatile charisma and profound lyrical talent. Furthermore, the film's direction and script were criticized for a lack of narrative flow and an over-reliance on a clunky framing device. The story is told through a series of flashbacks during a prison interview, which frequently interrupts the timeline and makes it difficult for viewers to become fully invested in any one period of Tupac's life. This choppiness prevents the audience from understanding the evolution of his relationships with figures like Jada Pinkett Smith and the Notorious B.I.G., transforming a deep, complicated friendship and rivalry into a surface-level, almost generic conflict. The result is a film that feels less like a cohesive cinematic story and more like a collection of reenacted moments, sacrificing genuine character development for the sake of covering as much ground as possible in its runtime. Another significant issue was the film's perceived factual inaccuracies and its handling of sensitive topics. Most notably, the movie's portrayal of Tupac's sexual assault case and subsequent conviction was a point of major contention. Critics argued that the film presented a one-sided, hagiographic view that seemed to subtly blame the victim, Ayanna Jackson, renamed Brianna in the film, by depicting her as a deceptive figure. The film's sanitized depiction of this event, along with other key moments and relationships, was so jarring that some of Tupac's real-life friends, including Jada Pinkett Smith, publicly criticized its inauthentic representations, which they found deeply hurtful and misleading. Ultimately, the film failed to live up to the legacy of its subject. Tupac Shakur was a deeply complex, contradictory, and brilliant figure whose life was filled with passion, poetry, and a revolutionary spirit. In its attempt to create a clean, respectable, and digestible version of his story, All Eyez on Me stripped away the very nuance that made him so compelling. The film presented Tupac as a victim of circumstance and an overly simplified hero, ignoring the internal conflicts and moral ambiguities that defined his short but impactful life. It was this failure to grapple with the man's full humanity that made the film a disappointment for both critics and many of his most devoted fans.